Has the Pixel 3a XL already been dethroned as the best sub $500 unlocked phone? We're going to talk about that a little bit today. So what's going on? My name is Spencer. This channel is all about looking at tech through a real world lens. And today that means taking a look at this guy, the Mi 9T. Now this phone does not have any bezel, thanks to that pop-up camera right there. And it's a pretty cool device overall. Couple disclaimers before we dive in though. This is a first impressions, not a full review. I did buy this phone with my own money and I actually kind of messed up. It's a global version of the phone, but it doesn't have all the right US bands, so I'll be returning it to get one with the proper bands for LTE where I live, so I can actually do a full review of this device. With that said, let's go ahead and dive in. Alright, so starting off, I actually want to talk about the back of this phone, and really the only negative thing I've come across so far. The back of the phone is glass, which for me is a big negative. I know not everybody agrees with that, but for me it is. This is more exaggerated on the blue and red models. On the black, we've got like this really nice carbon fiber look to the glass around the edges of the phone. And then there in the middle, it's just a solid black. I don't know if you guys can really make that out on the camera, but it kind of tapers into a solid black and then a carbon fiber look on the edges. I don't like glass because it's so slippery and fragile. Luckily, Xiaomi does include this hard plastic case. Has kind of a rubbery finish. It does pick up oils and stuff like that from your hands, but as you guys can see, they kind of just go away with time. So I'm going to go ahead and slap that on there just so you guys can see what it looks like on the phone. It is thin. I do hate cases, but the case is thin. It adds some grip, so I definitely dig that. And since I turned the phone off there, you can see the always-on display. Now, this is just kind of a, like earth, sunlight coming in behind the earth look. You can tweak that a little bit, but I like the always-on display, and it does shift from the top of your phone to the bottom throughout the day to help prevent burn-in, so take it or leave it. I like it. Now next up is the fingerprint sensor there on the lock screen. As you can see, it's not super fast, and when I went to the home screen, it's not lagging. If you keep holding on to that, those are some shortcuts that you can go ahead and set for yourself if you want to. You can turn that off if you want as well. I left it on just so you guys know that that was not actually lagging there. But fingerprint sensor is pretty accurate, Mi 9-ish level, so it's not phenomenal. I'd prefer a physical one on the back, but as far as in-screen fingerprint scanners go, it's pretty good. Now, next, let's talk about the obvious, no notch on here. And let me know down in the comments what you guys think about the notch and what your preferred method is to get rid of the notch. Do you not mind having one? Do you like the pop-up camera? Do you like the dual display thing that some phones have done? Make sure you let me know down below. So if we pull up the camera here and go ahead and trigger the front camera, you can see it comes out kind of slow. I'm going to go ahead and do it again and pull the phone closer to my mic. It does make that audible noise. Now the only way I figured out to turn that off is if we go ahead and put the phone on silent, jump back to the camera and do it again. Now we don't have that audible noise. I'm sure there's another way to turn it off, but again, this is not a full review, it's just a first impression, so I haven't figured out how to do that just yet. While we're on the home screen, the screen looks good. We got the brightness cranked for the sake of this video. Screen looks good. It's not Samsung S10 level, but hey, it's a solid looking AMOLED panel. I don't have any complaints there. Moving right along to performance, I don't have a SIM in this phone and it's not connected to Wi-Fi, so the phone doesn't get a bunch of notifications while I'm recording this. But performance has been good. We don't have a top-of-the-line processor in this. We just have a Snapdragon 730 instead of the 855 that's in a bunch of flagships. But everything in here does feel fluid, it feels snappy, it feels quick. I haven't ever stopped to think that I'm not using a flagship level processor because it just hasn't really come up. Xiaomi's skin is really well optimized, similar to OnePlus, so performance has been fluid and no complaints there with the 730 that's in this phone. Next, we do have a 4,000 milliamp hour battery in this phone. The phone doesn't really feel thick though, so I like that there. And since I haven't done a full review yet, I can't really comment on how the battery life has been overall and give you guys a solid number. I usually keep my display at about half brightness, so I keep it about, right there, which on camera probably seems kind of dim in this brightly lit room. But I've been getting over 6 hours of screen on time thus far. Again, I need to test it a little bit more before giving you guys a solid number, but so far the battery seems like it's going to be pretty solid. Next, let's talk about audio. No stereo speakers, just one downwards firing speaker here, if I can get the camera to focus on the bottom of the phone there. Just a single speaker grill over here on the right side, but we do get a headphone jack up top. So I'll trade stereo speakers for a headphone jack any day. Not that you necessarily have to make that trade, but overall it sounds pretty solid, Headphone jack sounds good. Speaker out of the bottom gets really loud and sounds nice and clear and balanced. So I'd prefer to have stereo speakers, but I don't mind it, especially on a phone with this price tag. Now just two more things to make you guys aware of. I prefer 16:9 or 18:9 displays, which are pretty hard to find these days. This is a 19.5:9. If you don't know what that means, basically it means the phone is taller and narrower. So if you have a little bit smaller hands, maybe that's something you prefer, but I like having a phone that's a little bit wider. The other thing is the Redmi K20 Pro is basically this phone with a better processor for the Indian and Chinese markets. I was under the impression the Mi 9T was the phone for global markets, and that's not entirely the case. What I mean by that is this doesn't have all the right global bands, so I'm actually sending this phone back, and I'm going to get one with all the right bands so I can do my full review and full testing, because as of right now I'm not getting full LTE, which is certainly annoying. So just something to look out for. Make sure you read the description before you buy the phone, and make sure it has the right antennas for wherever you want to use it. Now, I don't really have any other comments on this phone as far as a first impressions video goes. It seems really quick and fluid, typical Xiaomi quality, and I'm excited to keep using it and get a phone with the right LTE bands, because I think this is going to displace the Google Pixel 3a and 3a XL as my favorite phone under $450, because this can be found for $400, $420 or so if you're willing to buy a phone from eBay or, overseas. So that does it for this one, guys. Go ahead and let me know in the comments if you want to see me cover a specific thing with this phone, if you want to see me go more in depth with the updates to MIUI or anything like that, because my full review is not going to come for another week or two, because like I said, I have to return this model and get one with the right antenna bands. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.